Castlefield is one of many galleries that are artist-led or artist-focused. Many have a membership programme or a loose network of artists that support and staff the gallery on a rolling basis. A gallery may follow the career of an artist over a long period. Opportunities may arise once they get to know you and your work.
I've been there, I guess, for sort of over 10 years. Since 2005, I've been the director, and we try to spot and try to work with emerging to mid-career artists to support their practice, but also to bring what we think is high quality or experimental contemporary art to audiences around Manchester and beyond. A couple of years ago, we really looked at the structure of how we present the exhibitions we have. So we currently have between 7 and 8 shows a year, and the curated shows, we have 4 of those a year, and they're in 4 strands. The first strand is a head-to-head, which is we invite a more experienced artist to work with a more emerging artist, and we see a link in their work. So they don't know each other, they haven't collaborated before. We see something in their work. For example, we showed Hayley Newman and Emily Speed last year, really interesting. We have a review show, and currently we have Ian Andrews, Manchester-based artist, one of the best painters I've seen for a very long time actually. He's under 40, really great. And the review is to give an artist an opportunity at the right time in their development for a solo show. The third strand is a self-made strand, which is to maybe look at artists who are not trained as artists. Maybe they're self-taught, maybe they're from other disciplines. And the next one we have is working with Bob and Roberta Smith, who's obviously an artist, but working with the Kursler Trust, who works with art made in prisons. So it could be poetry, visual arts. Obviously, we're going to focus on visual arts because that's what we are about, but it's really to encourage or to kind of incorporate and expand the definition of contemporary art. The fourth strand is art and society, where we look at art and artists' agency in the world, I suppose. The last show we had was London-based Peel and Galia Collective, and they curated a show for us, looking at the radical ideas that seemingly coming from the right, from conservatism, rather than from the radical left. So they're the 4 strands, but importantly, in between, we also have these launch pads. And they're shorter, punchier, more responsive shows where we invite mainly our CG associates, our Castlefield Gallery associates, to propose shows. So we started our Castlefield Gallery Associate Scheme in December 2012, and really is a response to looking at how do we work with a network of artists. We've always been a bit of a hub for artists anyway, but it's to formalise that a little bit. So the membership scheme is geared mainly towards artists, but also for independent curators and writers too. We have CG associates who can propose shows for the exhibitions programme, the Launchpad programme. They also can use our new art spaces, which are our pop-up buildings. We have about 4 of those at the moment around Greater Manchester and beyond. And they're really an opportunity for artists to look at, to make a project or try something out, or maybe just have a workspace for a limited time. Quite interesting enough, I think apart from getting a show, that's the aim, they also get their work seen by not just us as curators, but also with selected our peers from around the country. At the moment we've got, for example, Stephen Snoddy from New Art Gallery Warsaw is selecting the next launch pad with our programme manager Matthew Pendergast. We've used Brian E. Bond from the Whitworth Art Gallery before, Brian Biggs from Blue Coat. So we try to bring in our peers, and I think the benefit of open submission shows is that artists get seen by a wider group of experts. But we encourage any emerging artists who are ambitious to get in touch.
How do you discover the artists you work with?
We try to go to as many open studios as possible, go to as many shows as possible, particularly emerging, because that's they're not yet documented. So I think it's more important for the emerging artists to really document their work properly. So if they have a show that that we can't go to, send us a package later on and say, this show happened and I'm really pleased with it, I'm trying to develop my work further. Keep it short and sweet, give us some nice images of your work, an artist statement, a short kind of bio or CV kind of thing. Keep it to those three things really. We definitely log and track people. For example, Ian Andrews, who we're showing at the moment, I saw him in a portfolio session about 6 years ago in Waterside Art Centre in Sale. It was great because I saw, he was the most memorable in that session. And it's only now, 6 years later, that we're able to offer him a solo show.
How does the gallery work with local developers?
Our pop-up spaces, which we call new art spaces, it's really crucial because we realised that a lot of artists don't have a simple opportunities to make and show work, really. I mean, there's only a certain amount of galleries in say, Manchester. And we've been working like this, I suppose, since 2006. We've been working with landlords to try to get space to do pop-ups. The kind of setup now is that we negotiate with landlords so that they give us a space and they also donate some money to us to run the spaces. So this space that we're sitting in is courtesy of the co-op. We're sitting in this area called Noma, North Manchester. It's a regeneration site. We have about 100 artists working in the building right now. We have single individual artists, we have artist groups, and we also have artist development agencies as well. So about 100 artists working within that sphere. I think one thing to say about the pop-up scene as well, I remember as a young artist how difficult it was to negotiate with landlords. You can make 50 phone calls and you may not have one lead that goes anywhere. So we're trying to take that kind of knowledge that we have, but also as a charity and as an organisation that has some reputation, we can take that and create an umbrella that artists can then not waste their time to phone up landlords and agents to try to procure a pop-up. We can do that for them in a way. I mean, there's loads of limitations with that, but we're trying to kind of use our agency to be able to create opportunities for artists in this way.
How is the gallery funded?
Okay, so Castlefield Gallery is funded through mainly three areas of resources. One is public funding, so we get some funding from Arts Council through Grants for the Arts. We get some money from the City Council, Manchester City Council, through their Culture Partnership. We try to earn some income, and that's through consultancy. We're currently working with the Brewery Arts Centre in Kendal, for example, Manchester Metropolitan University. We are hosting some of the students' work and developments in this building. We're also working with Creative Industries Trafford to do talent development. In fact, we work with a number of agencies and organisations, institutions to do talent development, professional development for artists. We hire the gallery out sometimes, and of course we need to be careful that incoming shows don't conflict with our programme. We have an office in Castlefield Gallery headquarters that we hire out to a creative industries partner. We also sell work sometimes. It's not a big income, but all these little bits counts towards the whole, of course, and match funding. 2 years ago, though, we did a big fundraiser, an auction, which we got. Luckily, we got loads of support from artists and curators nationally, and that really kind of helped us to get into a steady foothold after not receiving revenue funding. So it was we'll have like the fundraisers again in the future as well. That raise, I think we netted £30,000, which is great, and it really showed the support that the arts world has for us. Castlefield Gallery is 30 this year. The next 12 months we're going to be going into what we call intergenerational programme, and really is to capture the spirit of the last 30 years, and really is looking at how different generations of artists can influence and support the development of emerging artists. And of course, it's not one way. We know that when you have artists talking to other artists, the more experienced artists learn a lot from the emerging as well. So it's a program that reflects that, but also just to highlight that the Castlefield Gallery was built on artists having a go.